Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live. I'm your host, Dan Jones, and as you can hear, my voice is still not 100%. I've tried everything, anti-colds, I've had hot cups of tea with honey and cough syrup. It just hasn't worked. So I'm just going to have to battle through again, as always. I'm joined by four-time National Road Champ Johnny Trevorrow and the voice of cycling, Phil Liggett. And I'll start with you, Phil. It's been a massive weekend. It's still going to continue for sport in the UK. And obviously Australia, we are up and about because Ash Barty winning Wimbledon. Has it been big news over in the UK?
Yes, she's extremely popular here. And in fact, Trish, my wife, she was over the moon. Ash Barty is a really, really super person. And she does a lot of good things back home as well in Australia with the Indigenous people. So, hey, she was a true winner and a real champion, that's for sure.
And how are you feeling about the soccer tonight? Obviously, England in the Euro final, and mate, you've kept a tab on the prices. Inflation's through the roof.
You won't believe the news stories on the television last night about what people are paying for tickets. It's ridiculous. And my taxi driver bringing me in this morning said he was with some young girls, young in their early 20s, saying that they were going to a pub in London. And they paid $250 just to sit at a table in the pub. That includes no drinks, no food, just to get a table in the pub to watch the game on television. Another guy had got the tickets at face value, which were $1,000 per ticket. He bought $1,000 per ticket. He bought four for $4,000. He has been offered immediately $16,000 to move them on. But this guy said, hey, this is a lifetime for me. Don't forget, it's 66 years, 1966, since we last were in a final of a major soccer tournament. And he intends to see this before he passes on because he wasn't that young. So, no, he's turned down the money. It's amazing. The atmosphere is incredible here. And as you say, Dan, this is amazing. We've got the final of Wimbledon today with Djokovic up against the Italian guy whose name I can never remember. And we've got the golf is about to start. Next week, we've got the Silverstone Formula One Grand Prix. And dare I mention it, we have the Tour de France getting very good television coverage here as well.
How'd you go last night, Iffy? Flicking between the tennis and the cycling?
Well, I ended up sticking with the tennis for the last part, actually.
You traitor.
Well, once Mollema had got that lead, I thought, the tennis is more exciting because Mollema wasn't going to get caught. Well. Fantastic ride, actually. We'll go into that in a minute. So I watched. I joined the Barty party, and watched her. She had a little bit of a hiccup, about to win it in two sets, but she came back really strong in the third set. A fantastic win, so exciting. But a really good game from the young. The young Czech girl, I can't think of her name now, who ran sing. I've forgotten her already.
Sarah Appleover or somebody, I think. Well, I didn't see it, of course, because I was working.
It ended in over. But she was actually very good.
Female. All female names in Russia end in over.
Well, she's not Russian.
Female.
She's not Russian.
She is. What is she, Czech?
She's Czech.
Well, that's what the same difference applies. Females always end in over.
Okay.
OVA.
that sounds like no, I didn't. But that sounds like a line out of one of those movies. Yeah, over, under, whatever.
I see we've set the usual standard here on our podcast every day. We're always in good humour, aren't we? Why is this?
Well, because you're with Dan and I, mate.
Right.
You could be on, doing with some other. Could be on SBS with all that mob, but we're more jovial. We're more jovial.
I had a very nice letter from SBS this morning on my emails, wishing me well on the coverage, and I think I'm going to talk to them next week on the TV, which is great.
Oh, wonderful!
Oh, good.
Now, I've just got a little bit of a sad story I'd like to say, if I can just not tone down just a fraction, because I want to say goodbye to one of my really good mates, a guy named Dale Richards, who was a top bike rider back in the 70s. That's him. That's him on the front there. Great photo you've dragged out there. With people that listen to a podcast won't see that, but it's Dale Richards and the Sun Tour on the front, Terry Hammond and another South Australian. Oh, look, that's me on the outside there. Great. But Yeah, he was a real character anyway. He passed away early this morning with cancer. But just like my condolences to his lovely wife, Erica, a real character, and his 3 girls, Heidi, Carly, and Stephanie. But he was a legend. He was from Mount Gambier. He was a cray fisherman and a lumberjack. So you imagine if that's your two trades, you're going to be salt of the earth, and that's what he was. He was a pretty big guy for a roadie. He was about 6'2". He was also Australian track champion. I think he beat Frankie Atkins to win an Australian 10-mile title. I remember he had the yellow jersey for quite a few days in one of the Sun Tours. But just, fantastic guy. He would drive down all the way from Mount Gambier to Melbourne for our major opens on the weekend. And it's a long drive. It must be 6 hours. And then race the weekend. And he and Erica would drive all the way back and be back there for out chasing crayfish on the Monday. So, a legend of a guy, and will be sadly missed. And any of the old mates who are listening to this, I know they'll all take a big, deep breath now because they didn't come any better than Big Dale. So goodbye, mate.
My deepest sympathy to Erica there, John. Thank you. Yeah.
Now, we've had a comment about the tennis. Carolina says there's Kalina Pliskova. Is that what you say?
Blimey. Well, I have to confess,
over and out.
I never heard of her.
No, she's good. She's good. She made,
obviously,
her second Grand Slam final, and she hasn't won one yet, but she was right in the mix there, so she will win one, no doubt.
Well, Tom wants to know, why haven't you got 2 TVs or a phone? If you can do both, you can watch both at the same time. You don't have to choose.
Well,
if he's got more phones than anybody else I know.
But my wife was on one television and I was on the other, and bikes are banned from her television, so I had to sort of float between the 2 rooms.
So what are the key, the voice it's just going up and down. What are the key takeaways from stage 14, Johnny? I see Chavez was in the break at one point there.
Yeah, he gave it a bash too. The key takeaway out of last night's stage, and we already knew it, but Michael Woods is the worst descender in the peloton. That was the key thing I took out of that. I reckon I could descend better than him when I was 14. But anyway, when you fall off, when you're leading the group on a descent, and you're leading, so you're in charge of the pace. When you fall off in front, there's something drastically wrong with your skills.
Well, how do you become a
good latecomer? He's a latecomer.
Yeah, there's plenty of them. There's plenty of them around.
He's a great athlete.
But there's plenty. But we've had a few. We've had them come out of rowing. We've had Roglic, who was a bloody ski jumper. But they learn.
A bit more skillful that.
Yeah, but they learn the basics.
Yeah, but Roglic wasn't a good descender. He crashed when he came off the ski ramp. That's how he stopped the sport and took to cycling, because he wasn't a good descender anyway.
He was a good descender at cycling, mate. I watched him. But you learn. You learn. Yeah. So I don't know what he does in his spare time, but one of them is not going downhill fast.
No, it was awful. We followed him downhill. You could almost predict the fall, actually. Yeah. Because when he had to get back on, it was painful watching him chasing back on, because
he almost did it again. Yeah, anyway.
He did. But you know what, John? He's done a 3-minute 57 mile. He was a good athlete, very fast.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do much quicker than that going downhill yesterday. But you know what? I'm getting stuck into it. He's a fantastic bloke. He rode the Sun Tour a couple of years ago, and he was just the nicest guy. And he's a super athlete. He could win a Grand Tour. He's got if he can learn to go downhill. Anyway, that's my vent.
But I was just going to say, how do you get better at descending other than just constantly practicing it? Because you've got to be a bit mad as well, don't you?
It helps. And so, but some people are good descenders because they're fearless and they'll just have a go at it. But I remember when I first went to Europe as an amateur, and we were racing, we mentioned about when Ron Webb organised all these great races. So we got to race in big races with big mountains and descents, which we never had in Australia. So the Peace Race and the Tour of Austria, Tour of Switzerland, fantastic bike races with major descents. So we had to learn. And I remember in one race, I think it might have been the Amateur Tour of Switzerland, Grand Prix Willem Tell, it was called. And there was a bloke named Klaus Peter Thaler, who was a world amateur cyclocross champion and ended up being a very good professional as well. And I raced with him quite a bit over later years. Good bloke, but a great descender. And I remember being with him on a descent, and we were chasing a group out in front. So he started going, like it was a big descent, 20K, and he was going around down there quicker than I could ever go. But I just thought, well, if he can get around there, I can get around there. I took the same lines, copied him down, and we caught 2 minutes on the group in front by the bottom. And that made me think, well, okay, I can do this. So I started pushing myself all the time. And by the end of that year, racing amateur in 73, I was a very good descender because I practiced it, and I was a bit stupid, so I was fearless. But being a road sprinter, you're good at that sort of thing. You duck in and out and all, weave and all of that. But and then when I raced pro later years, Giro, to Swiss, all of that, I had no problems descending with the best. But how do you learn it? Well, as you just said, Dan, you keep practicing. He obviously doesn't practice because he can't be that bad and practice.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know you're speaking to Trish tomorrow, but she used to do Davis Finney training camps. Davis was the great American sprinter, and Ron Kiefel. And Ron Kiefel taught Trish how to descend. It's all about positioning of your body weight. And you watch a downhill skier when he's on the alpine ski runs, how they just move the body and shift the weight on the skis. They don't turn the skis at all. And you don't actually turn your bike. You use your body weight to lean into the bend, and the bike will follow you, and it'll come out the other side. But it's a skill that has to be practiced. Practiced.
Yeah.
And my Trish's brother John, who was a great motorbike racer, he just every time he watches them going downhill on the Tour de France, he laughs. He says, "These guys can't descend." That's the first thing he says, because on a motorbike going down through the Alps, you've got to really lay it down properly and use your body weight to bring it back. So anyway, look, you're right what we say about Michael, but he can learn it. Yeah,
that's interesting to say that, because the motorbike guys do corner differently. They use their body over on the bike because they have to. Yeah, they actually move. You'll see the edge of one knee is almost on there, and the whole body's over there. But I'll tell you one cyclist who did that, who took that into cycling, and he was a brilliant descender, and that was Bradley McGee. Bradley started doing that in racing, and he said, I said, "It's a bit different, mate." And he was very good. And he said, well, what it does, when I'm going around a corner, and he did just like the motorbikes do. He went right over on the edge, where just the edge of his knee would almost be there, and most of his body weight down there. My bike is still fairly upright, much more upright than the other. So I've got much more tyre on the road than the guys I'm descending with. And it makes sense when you think about it like that. I haven't seen anyone else do it like as good as Bradley did.
No.
That was something that never really caught on, but he was brilliant at it.
Mm.
Well, here's a comment. Peter Williams says Woods employed a personal downhill coach 2 years ago, so he must be practicing it.
Sack him.
I was about to say he must have got sacked.
Sack him and get another one. That's what I'd say.
Here's another stat for you, Phil. Samantha Ince says the top 10 GC riders are all from a different country. How often has that happened?
It's not terribly uncommon, but I'd have to check it up, Samantha. I must confess, this is what's always good about this race. If you check also, there's 23 teams in this race. There's only 7 of them won stages. That's why Bauke Moller was so happy yesterday. Finally got a win on the board for Trek Segafredo after 3 seasons. This is the new world of cycling. And these kids are popping up. I mean, the Scanda hooligans now, look at them. Denmark, Norway, all producing fantastic bike riders. It's a wide world of cycling these days, that's for sure.
Well, fellas, let's have a look at the profile for stage 15. Obviously, we're back in the mountains.
Back teeth. Look at that. Lovely.
Oh, yeah. Just before we go there, Daniel, I'd just like to make a little comment on yesterday, because I'm really impressed with Bourke Mollema, because, 40K to go, he went away from a group, a pretty strong group. And on the descent, actually, he skipped clear, and they just watched him. And then he was only 20 seconds in front for about 5 or 6K. Then he got to 25, then 30. And then on the climb, Chavez was chasing really hard. I think he actually thought he might be able to put the others on in some pain and catch him, but he just didn't have it. But the others all worked well together, but they just couldn't do anything about it. He went over the top, minute and a half in front, and just did one of the really, really solid rides. But I've always been a bit of a fan because he's been around for a while. He was 6 years with Rabobank, and then he's been 6 years with Trek. And for a while there, he was super consistent. I mean, he ran top 10 in Tour de France on 3 occasions.
That's right.
He finished third in the Vuelta right back in 2011. A couple of top 10s in Giro. He won a Tour of Lombardia, Giro de Lombardi. In San Sebastian, he won that in 2016 and finished 8 times in the top 10 in San Sebastian, 3 times top 10 in Amstel. So he's been around, but for a couple of years, it almost looked like, oh, well, that career is sort of over. So I just was very impressed to see him come back. He's such a nice bloke as well.
Yeah, having spoken with the team literally before the start of the race, he was intended here only to win stages. There was never any possibility of being challenging for the overall. They said he's in the race to win stages. He tried on Mont Ventoux. He finished third, but he allowed Kenny Elissonde, his new teammate, to go in front of him to get second in his first Tour de France, behind, of course, of Wout van Aert. So that was his challenge, and that was a great ride. He got away from the field with Kenny and went over Ventoux, chasing second and third place, and they stayed clear to the end. Yesterday was a beautiful stage through the Ariège in the Ode. It was absolutely stunningly beautiful. And you're right, he scalped them. He's such an aggressive bike rider. His last real big win was that Tour of Lombardy, John. And until this year, he hadn't won a race since that Tour of Lombardy. But this year, he's had 3 wins now, I think. Yeah.
It's great to see. Sorry about that.
Well, I was just going to say, was Mollema one of those riders that hasn't done a lot in the race so far that was sort of saving himself? Because a lot of these guys have had to do a lot of work. Is he one that sort of slipped through the cracks? If he was part of that group of 50 Chook Lotto that could have won it, if we were...
Yeah, look, I think so. I think, look, he's a Grand Tour man. He finished the top 10 in all 3 Grand Tours, which means they're the guys who are going to be strong in the final week. And as Phil was just saying, he was great over Mont Ventoux. I mean, gave up second to his teammate, finished third, all there. So he should have been always one of the Chook Lottos for yesterday. So, and once I saw him in that break, I thought, and the way it was going, I thought, he was high on my radar.
All right. Well, as we said before, stage 15 profile, they've got 4 climbs, or one of them sort of a Cat 2 leading up to the Cat 1, just before the second last one there. But, I mean, the big question is, Phil, are Pogacar's rivals going to be able to take some time today? Because there was a lot of talk, obviously, with the first signs of the Pog cracking on Mont Ventoux.
Well, that's what they're all going to hope he repeats today. Here, we saw a frown on his face for the first time since this race began. Yesterday, of course, Guillaume Martin made a huge kill yesterday. He was 9th overall. He sits 2nd overall now because he was in the breakaway yesterday. A new challenger, but he may fall back again today because I don't think he's climbing the high mountains that well. And the high spot there, right on the top of the Envalira, which is the gateway, it's called the gate into Andorra, in effect, Pont d'Envalira. That's sitting at nearly 8,000 feet. That's the highest point of this year's Tour de France, at 7,900 feet. You're talking meters, 2,400 meters. And then you've got that long descent. Now, that road is, yes, we're high, but it's a beautiful road. It's wide. In fact, you feel at sea on it. It's so wide. And then down the other side, brilliant, fast, wide road descent. Short stabber with a bonus on top, and then the descent into the old town of Andorra, the old city there. For that reason, I think Pogacar will go with the moves. It may not be a stage for him to win, but everybody's going to look to see if those cracks are opening and if he's going into the 3rd week of the Tour as good as he was in that 1st week. He avoided all the crashes in the 3rd week. He won the time trial. This guy set himself up to lead this Tour all the way through to the finish. We'll see today if there's any hope for the boys when they come to the rest day tonight.
Well, you know what? This is going to be a great stage. But I think the most significant climb of this race, if you want to put that map up again, is not even categorised. But they've got 18 kilometres up the start, uphill. And it's a decent drag. It's a real drag. And I can tell you, it's the most significant hill in this race, because if Cav gets spat on there and doesn't get back on, that's what they'll be hoping. He worked right. He will not make the time cut. He needs to get back after that in that big valley before the sprint. Otherwise, it's game over, because no way he will make the time cut if he gets spat and doesn't get back from the start. It's really, really going to be game on for Cav. As far as the Pog's concerned, I've been listening to, I was just listening to Mike Tomalaris before, and Mike was saying how he struggles in the heat. He doesn't, I have never seen the Pog struggle in the heat. I've heard him say, I don't like the heat as much as I prefer the cold, don't like the heat. But I haven't seen him actually struggle any race anywhere in the world because of the heat. He won one of the races down in the UAE in 40 degrees. So, come on, let's not try and invent something that's not the case, because he might not like the heat so much, but it has not caused him any pain. So I reckon there's going to be an enormous shake-up in the top 10. They're going to be all over the place after today. I guarantee you the top 10, which has hardly changed in the last week, Benny O'Connor might have dropped from second to fifth and a little bit, and what's his name jumped up, Martin, great ride, yes, they'll be up to second. That will be all over the shop tomorrow. It'll be the same guys, but I think our old mate Vinny Gaditz, I think he will be. I reckon he could get a hold on second place by tomorrow. But Carapaz will be good too. Carapaz will be right up there. But let's just hope Ben O'Connor has recovered enough to put in a good ride. Now, he knows these roads. He lives in Andorra, so we'll train really a lot on these roads they're going on. He'll know them like the back of his hand. Yeah. So let's hope that's an advantage for him.
The Will Wizard says no heat today, 20 degrees max. So it's not going to be too hot.
There you go. I'll tell you what, Will Wizard's looking good. We've got to actually, tomorrow's rest day, we'll have to announce the best question, or best, whatever you're calling it now. Best contributor. Best contributor. Well, so let's go motorhome voucher. But I reckon he's going to be close. I don't know when he can get out to Australia, but he's hit me around the ear a couple of times, but he's been pretty consistent, been pretty good.
Dave Adderley wants to know, is if you're auditioning for Greece? Welcome back, Connor. No. Whatever. Now, if you're another big talking point, you wrote an article in the world famous Geelong Advertiser. It was all about Eddie and Cav, because we were talking about that yesterday. What was the guts of it?
Well, actually, it's actually on Sports Hounds. Ronnie Reed's, it'll be in the Addy not until Tuesday, I don't think. But anyway, you've broken the story. Well, I was asked to do a piece on comparing the two. So I came up with a mythical race between Eddie and Cav. And I said, no matter if it was dead flat or whatever, Eddie would win, because his pride would not let him get beaten. He would just be down the edge of the road attacking. Eddie would win no matter what the route, whether it be hills, flat, whatever, Eddie would win. But I just went on and we talked about Cav's great career, world champion, you name it. But I finished with saying he's not the best sprinter I've ever seen. His record is brilliant, but the best sprinter I've ever seen was Freddie Martins. Freddie Martins could win. He won a Grand Tour, he won a Vuelta, and he won 13 stages in that Vuelta to win, in that one race. 13 stages, won the Vuelta. He won his first Tour de France. He won 8 stages and the green jersey. Only rode 3 Tours de France, won 3 green jerseys and 15 stages. So to me, he's the best, twice world champion, went through a couple of years there where no one could touch him in any form of racing. He was just unbeatable. Yeah.
Stuart McIntosh got some good inside knowledge. He said Ben O'Connor's parents are in Andorra today to watch him first time in a long time. They've seen him ride live, so look out for a showing.
I like it.
And then Pushkar says, TGV tactic suggestion, Send Wout van Aert in the break and ask Kuss and Kreiswick to pump it up Port and Van Lira. Then old Vinegar should then attack hard. Why not, eh?
Yes, well, you fell into my old trap there. You called him Wout. Yeah, Wout. It's Wout.
Wout, sorry. What do you think of those techniques, Johnny?
Yeah, perfect. That's what I'll be doing. Yeah. Oh, look, it's going to be interesting. The break will go, but they won't. I don't think they'll get a lot of distance. And there are some bike riders who want. This is their big chance to play it out. You know, the sides of a crack with the Pog. Maybe now's the time. Hot. Well, it's not going to be 30. The Wheel Wizard tells us it'll be 20, but whatever. They're going to try everything. Put him under some pressure. I hope Ineos, if they're going to do it, don't do it like they did last time. That was ridiculous. 100k at the front for absolute no benefit. It was stupid. Be more specific. Put people up the road. You've got to put some pressure on them. Not just use going hard with him sitting behind. You've got to put people up the road and make them chase it, and then someone else up the road.
So old school movie star tactics.
It's easy. By the way, Trish had a phone call from a chap who lives in Andorra last night. She's working with him on our rhino situation, and he lives in Andorra.
Any rhinos in Andorra?
There's no rhinos wander out down there, no. But this guy's a pretty interesting character who we met doing these rhino rides on the Full Gas app. And in fact, he said that the weather in Andorra last night was awful. Heavy rain. It's getting cold. I mean, 20 degrees in Andorra is not hot at this time of the year. So the weather could be in control of this race today, from what he was saying last night. Yeah.
There's a bit of chatter about all this sort of stuff. Pushkar says, did any of you seen Naso Bohani's pictures and videos from spectators where he's seen holding the team car multiple times on the Ventoux stage in the Gruppetto? What are the rules here? No disqualification. Now, Phil used to be a commissaire. Yeah. You would have thrown a stick at him for this if you caught that, wouldn't you?
It's the sort of thing you have to look out for on the mountains with the sprinters, because if they do hang on to cars, it's not just the rider gets kicked out, the team car get kicked out as well. And normally they choose a team car that's not theirs, so that they can't say he's being helped by his own team. You'll see it every day when a rider punctures. Cars will come past, see the rider recovering, and they'll slip in front for a few feet and draft him, but it's never their team car. It's always another team car from a different team, just playing the game, if you like, because he's had a problem which wasn't his fault. His legs didn't blow up, his bike let him down, whatever. But no, if the referees see it, but of course, don't forget, when the riders are spread on a day like Ventoux, they could be 40 minutes behind where the race referees are. And I think there's an awful lot goes on there back there. But throughout my years of covering the Tour de France, some of the biggest names in the Tour have been kicked out, like Jan Ross, for example, who was the world champion. He could never climb hills to save his life. He could never get over the mountains to get to Paris. Same with Mario Cipollini. Cipollini rode 12 tours, never got to the finish because he couldn't get over the mountains. And yet on one occasion, he won 5 stages in a row, but he couldn't get over the mountains, so he's back home watching the finish. So these guys see a car go by, the crowd don't realize what they're doing. In the old days, the police escorts used to have pannier bags with white hands on the side, showing the hands and a line through them, saying, do not push the coureurs. And but crowds get excited, and Buani is not going to say, please don't push me. And the commentators used to listen to the riders, because the riders are shouting at the people saying, poussez, 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 s'il vous plaît, poussez. They want the push, but nowadays they have to appear. No, I don't want to push. No, push. No, I don't want to push. Push. It's life.
But Phil, that's gone out of the sport now. You're dead right. It used to be happening all the time. It doesn't happen anymore because they've really
totally
pushed out. That wasn't the problem with Bohani. He was getting hanging onto the actual team car. But the photos, it could be just grabbing a bid, and it could be anything. You can't react to a photo from a fan. The commissaires have to actually see it.
Yeah.
Well, the sticky bid. Well, they are. It's so hard. You know what? They are so sticky with all the coke that's fallen on, and you're trying to let it go. The old handler, his hand stuck to it. Your hand gets stuck to it, so he has to accelerate to let you break that connection.
Absolutely.
It's all innocent.
It's all arranged. I disqualified a rider for towing once, in pacing once in the Tour of Ireland when I was the chief commissaire. I knew it was going on. So in the end, I went down the side street on these moors, just the back street, the back lane. And I came out and he just went straight past, holding onto the car, having a great time. So I come up behind and said, "I'm sorry, mate, but you're out." And I went back to the race and disqualified him. Then the organisers came up to me and said, "What are you disqualifying for?" I said, "But he was towing. He was just sitting on the car holding the window." "Yes, but he lives at the finishing town. He wasn't going to go any further. You could have let him get that far." But that's Ireland for you.
I've just had some absolutely breaking news come through. Sorry to just butt in, but Collingwood beat the Tigers, so they were 3 or 4 goals down. They come back and won by nearly 3 goals. So hallelujah!
Oh, I know, because Skull said a while ago the Pies just won, but I didn't want to post it because I don't care.
I just Skull.
Samantha's got more breaking news as well. She says the other bit of controversy is Pogacar.
Pogacar's coach, Dr. Inigo San Milan, stating his riders in the Tour de France aren't as strong as they were last year. Well, don't forget, they got knocked out. A lot of them got knocked out by the crashes in the first week.
Wow.
And that's still in their favour. Geraint Thomas dislocated his shoulder in that
you did
first
right,
week.
Exactly.
Roglic sat on his toxic. What can you do? But they got involved in crashes, and Pogacar hasn't.
Wendy May Abbott wants to know, what's the rule on riding on the footpaths and over roundabouts, Phil?
Well, the roundabouts is a tricky one because they come at them so fast. They're looking for the way out. They're just unsighted. You're certainly not allowed to ride on the footpaths. If the commissaires see you jump onto the footpaths where the spectators are likely to be, and if they get the numbers of the riders, there is a penalty. But basically, it is disqualification, and it has happened, particularly in Belgium. You see, it's the reverse of what life in Belgium is really like. When you cycle in Belgium, you cannot use the road. You must ride on the footpaths, which are very good in Belgium. When you're racing in Belgium, you ride on the road, and you cannot ride on the footpaths.
There you go.
But the difference is, though, in Belgium, they rub them out for going on the footpath because they're cobbles. And they're really bad cobble roads. So they'll jump on the cycle path or the footpaths there because it's a better situation. But in this race, the riders that are going onto a footpath or over a traffic on, they're because of just mayhem, and that's where they've ended up. There's no advantage to that, so they might get warned, but they're not going to disqualify them.
Depends on the offence.
Exactly. It's not for an advantage. Yeah.
If Prasad wants to know, has Ineos got any cards to play today? You're talking about Carapaz before. If you were the DS at Ineos, what would you be telling them to do?
Well, I'd put the pack back together, and I wouldn't throw the jokers out. I think they need the joker. That's the cards they've got to play. Look, I don't know what they can do, but the only thing you've got going for them, I've known over the last couple of days, Geraint Thomas looks to have got his mojo back. He's much stronger. So I think he will be the card that they can play as far as putting some pressure on. But they can't throw out. They've only got Carapaz. They haven't got another rider to be able to put up the road. So I don't know. If I were them, I'd be talking with Jumbo and Movistar and saying, okay, we're going to try 3-card tricks. They need to be working. Those teams need to be having a bit of a concerted effort against the Pog, because that's the only way they're going to beat him.
Yeah, I expect to see them get back together as a team. Don't forget they've lost Luke Rowe, who was a big mid-term pacemaker, a real strong guy. Yep. He went out eliminated. I think early on they'll watch and see how the race is shaping, and I think once the climbs really get to grips, you'll see the Ineos team setting the pace, and they'll try and soften it up. It might become a one-on-one towards the end with Carapaz and Pogacar. But and I agree, Vingegaard, this kid on Jumbo-Visma, is a star of the future, and he's really stepped up to the plate with the loss of Roglic. So expect to see this kid make progress towards the podium as well. I think Guy Martin, who came up to second yesterday, will probably be back in 6th or 7th by the end of the day, because this is a tough stage today.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned Uran. Rigoberto.
He's a big. He could do anything.
He's we haven't been talking about him, but he's in that mix too. So I think Vinegar will move into. I think he can run second, but I think there's for the players that I think will fight this out are Uran, Vinegar, Carapaz. I put Kelderman as well. Lesensko, who's been. I thought was really going to be good early, but he struggled. But he could come back into it. He's a minute behind some of those guys. And Ben, we'll find out how he goes today. But I can't see anyone down below that. Oh, Enrico Mas, we know what he can do. So
it doesn't seem to be firing quite well enough to me.
No.
The whole team doesn't seem to be going well, Movistar, and they've won the team race for the last three years straight in the Tour de France. But they're nowhere in.
Who cares?
Exactly. Well, I do. I love to see that too. And what about the old man of the Tour, Valverde? He's always there, He just doesn't do. You don't talk about him, but he's always there near the action. He's getting through. He might do something in the Pyrenees. He's close to home now.
Well, he definitely. If he gets up the road, in a breakaway, he definitely.
And he's lost enough time to get up the road.
Yeah. You're right.
And Phil, you said there's only 149 riders left in the Tour, and Roger Kluge had a photo the other day. Have a look at the bandages on him after his crash. It's just been absolutely brutal, and obviously there's been some abandonments with the Olympics leading up, but there's a lot of guys that are battered and bruised after the first 2 weeks, mate.
Yeah, no, as usual, we've had a lot of eliminations this year. I think it's about 8 or 9 riders eliminated from the Tour on time, and it could be more today. The riders are getting quite tired. That crash of Roger, well, what he wants to do is try and get ride the Madison in the Olympic Games, because there's no road races for him there. It doesn't suit him at all. He was last place in the Tour. He's finished last overall before in Paris. He was there for other reasons. But if you saw the crash, you could see his back because he was lying on his face. And it was like somebody had run over his back with a huge file and just rubbed all the skin off. It was like a piece of raw meat. It was a really, really bad tumble for poor old Roger. And yet he said the next day, okay, I'm still hoping to get to the Olympic Games. Well, let's hope he does. The Madison is good. He's very good at the Madison, and he'll be a good challenge. We'll see. Now it's the telephone now.
Mate.
He's one of the favourites for the gold medal in the Madison at Tokyo.
Well, Phil, that's a good cue because you got work to do, mate. So we've got to put
why she called. Yes, 10 past the hour. Go on.
Kadeka Foundation, KARIEGA.co.za/Peloton. It's a great cause. And Trish will be on tomorrow, mate. We're going to give you a day off, and Trish is going to step in.
Only a day off from the podcast because my film is being launched in Britain, my documentary, this month. And I've got lots of radio interviews and TV things planned to launch the film. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm sorry I'm going to miss you, but Trish will amply fill the spot, believe me. In fact, you two may never get a word in edgeway. Try. Do try.
I'm looking forward to it because she thinks the world of you, and also she knows Australia because she was an Australian masseuse with Heiko Saltzwedel. She's got Australian history. A pioneer, great grandparents come from Gawler in South Australia. When we were on the tour down under, we found their grave. We found the grave of the lady Cummings, their name was, came in on the original boats as pioneers. Yeah. Oh yes, she claims to be Australian. She's very miffed they won't give her an Australian passport. Mind you, sometimes the Australians show signs of good sense. There you go. Look, originally, I know that Trish was just coming on to talk about some new projects he's got happening later in the year with animal, with rhinos and all of that. Yeah. But, when we look at her great background in cycling, I mean, she was our soigneur for part of that 1973 season. Fantastic masseuse, or whatever you call a lady. Right. Yeah, but she was fantastic. But she's also been race director of teams or team director in Tours de France for the women's tour. I think five Tours de France, and worked with Heiko. She said, so she's got a wonderful cycling story to tell. So I'm looking forward to it.
She still talks with Heiko, who's now, back home in Germany, I think. But no, she stands in her own right.
I look forward to it.
I hope she sees this podcast. She'll like me now. I'll be okay tonight. If she sees this podcast, I'll be fine tonight.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm going okay because I just jumped up and remembered that I'm about 15 minutes late turning dinner on because I was doing everything else. Hey. I cooked dinner.
Well, good for you.
What a hero.
Saying that to Trish, by the way. I like to come home to my dinner because I don't get home till 7 o'clock in the evening each day. It's a long day here, my little box.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm enjoying the tour and I'm enjoying the podcasts. And I'm looking forward to the rest day, but for other reasons,
And you'll be enjoying that big brand new TV you got as well, mate. So it's all looking up.
Let me show you once more. Look at that now. Where is it? Look, the trouble is, it's always in black. Well, you see, it's 10 past 4 in the morning in the USA. So the boys are already preparing for
we saw it light up yesterday, Phil. You showed us it lit up yesterday.
Oh, I did. That's true. Yeah. Maybe it's broken. I haven't checked it. Maybe it's broken.
plug it in. Try plugging it in. Yeah.
Good on you, Phil.
Idea. All right, guys.
Thanks as well as the mate.
I'll look forward to enjoy Trish tomorrow, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks a lot.
And good luck with the premiere, mate.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Hope they don't throw tomatoes. Take care.
See you, mate. Always. Phil Liggett, the voice of cycling. It's that part of the show now, Iffy, where we go to our sponsors' ads from our great mates at Let's Go Motorhomes and Bike Exchange.
We all love an open road, and often they're easier to find during quieter times of the year. In a Let's Go motorhome or camper van, you can road trip in comfort and style any time of the year. When the roads are quiet, you can get where you want quicker and easier without jostling for position. Chances are your destination won't be as busy too, which means you'll enjoy your travelling adventure even more. Plus, if you book a Let's Go motorhome or camper van in the off-season, you pay less, meaning you can travel longer. There's a type of motorhome or camper van for everyone, so you won't have to compromise on what you want. The whole range has the things you need to help create the perfect road trip experience, including heating and cooling, keeping you comfortable on the road all the time. Whether there's 2 or 6 of you, there's a motorhome for everyone. And in a Let's Go motorhome, your journey can be just as fun as the destination you want to reach. The open road is calling. Check out some of our great offers online today and start planning your next road trip. Rain, hail, or shine.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match, but not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to our good mates at Let's Go Motorhomes and, of course, Bike Exchange. And don't forget to stay involved with the show, because the best contributor each week will win a $500 Let's Go Motorhome voucher. And I reckon by tomorrow, Iffy, my voice will be back. Gary's given me some tips. Dan, you need to get a good bottle of scotch and gargle. That'll fix your voice. Let's ask.
Don't spit it out. Aha!
Team Bike Exchange head to ES Matt White joins the show now. Whitey, Have you got any tips for how to fix a croaky voice like this?
Lemon tea with a big dollop of honey, mate.
Yeah, I've tried that. I'll just have to keep sticking with it and just not talk as much. Just
What
have
about
a day off the yap.
Captain Morgan on the rocks?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
How's it all at the start there today, mate? What's the weather like? The blackberry. Is he there? You there, mate? Yep. No,
Righty.
we might have a bit of a problem with the Wi-Fi, which there have been problems with the 4G, not just at the Tour de France, iffy, but even the women's race. At least I got some advice from Whitey. That's the most important thing. I got a couple of tips from him. Yeah, we got a bit of a drama there with the Wi-Fi.
I think that must be a really bad picture. But you know those wrinkles he had under his eyes. They seem to have dropped right back down to his jaw.
While we're waiting for Whitey to rejoin, we've had a couple of good comments again. Pushkar's on fire. He says, we always talk about Team Jumbo Visma and Ineos to counter UAE. What about EF? They've got their full squads who look fit and healthy, unlike the other two. They've been very passive.
Yeah, we were just starting to talk about. So maybe you've pushed us into it, but Rigoberto Urán is a big chance for the podium, and they haven't really unloaded their jets yet. So you did right, or expect something from them today. There's a few teams got to step up.
Martin, the next French winner, tread-worn jerseys, wants to know.
Nah, I don't think so.
No. Boris says, Phil's a legend. Anyone knows why he was dropped by SBS?
Well, I don't think he was just dropped by SBS. You've got to remember that Phil works for NBC, and the ASO were contracting him to do not just what he did for NBC, but to use that the voiceover that he and Phil, that Paul Sherwin used to do, as the basics for the English coverage. But then they wanted some changes, and NBC weren't able to let them do some changes. So it all become a little bit of a hot potato. So it's not right to just say he was dropped by SBS. But, yeah, I suppose that's what happened in the end. But it's a real shame because we love his voice. Imagine having he and Matty Keenan and Robbie McEwen all together, and Bridie, in different, just with Phil there as that overall voice of cycling. Wow, how good would it be? Anyway, we haven't got that.
Free Rangers, Dan's karaoke still on the cards. Now, I think you should sing, John, and I'll play guitar on the final day.
We could do that. But we could do that. But that would be just pretty average. I mean, I rattle out a song with Dan now and again, but I'm average or slightly below that.
What if we got filtered? What if we got filtered?
No. We'll get your voice right. We'll wait until your voice is okay.
Okay.
We'll get practicing. We'll get the songs in. I'm happy
Put
to
in
do
your requests.
The la-la-las in the background.
90s power ballads.
Yeah. Dan is the man.
All right. Philip Russell says, hey, Dan, love the show. Just so the sponsors know, I've made a couple of purchases through Bike Exchange in the last few weeks. Good on you, Phil. Fantastic.
That could just get you a $500 prize.
Tomo, if he must have had a shot of the good stuff today, can't shut him up. You are up and about today. We were talking about it earlier. Treadworn Journey says, can Cavendish survive the final week and will Matthews win green again? As you said, Iffy, that first climb is going to be on, and it's a shame why he cut out, because the obvious question was the tactics for today. Yeah. Where are they going to light it up straight off the bat?
Whatever he says, he'd probably say, we'll see. I can tell you now, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Yep. Stuart McIntosh wants to know, is Rigoberto Urán Mick Jagger's brother by another mother? He is a dead ringer for the Rolling Stone.
Yeah, not quite so many wrinkles, but give him another 40, 50 years, he might be.
Now, if the women's Giro Don overnight, Ashley Moorman-Paseo had a win. Yeah. SD Works went 1, 2, 3 on the stage. They're just absolutely dominating.
Yes, yeah. So, and Evander Breggen was completely in control of it. It's her teammate up the road. She finished with Vollering. They were like a minute 20 down, I think. 1, 2, 3, they are in the stage. 1, 2, 3, they are in the bike race. And it finishes tonight, just near the border of Slovenia, up in north there. And it's not a flat. Normally, the last stage is a bit of a promenade, but it's got quite a few little climbs, nothing like yesterday, which was a major climb. So it'll be fun and games, but there's no one there that's going to match for them. Amanda lost a little bit more time. She's down to 15th at nearly 5 minutes, 4 minutes 53. So, those Dutch girls are super strong.
I saw Marianne Vos withdrew from the race building up for the Olympics, and she was leading the points jersey at the time. Did Eddie Merckx give her a clip for disrespecting the jersey?
Probably, yeah. So, 30 stages, only on 30 stages. Look, she was never going to get over that mountain with them, and I don't, obviously, she must be looking at her dwindling reserves and wanting to recharge for Tokyo. So, I don't know why you couldn't just get through the last stage myself. So I'd probably have to agree with Eddie a fraction on that one. But anyway, whatever.
Yep. It says, I watched the tour with Phil and Paul for the best part of 15 years and continue watching with Matthew and Robbie. But it's not the same anymore. We may try and find a way to see the NBC coverage. Look, I think they're doing a great job. And I think the hardest thing is a lot of it's chemistry. So when you bring in like the three of them, to get the chemistry takes a lot of time as well. And it will take, a number of years to get into the groove, because it's really finding your feet. And Phil and Paul, I mean, how many years did they commentate together? We're talking 35, 40 years. They were so in sync by the end of it. It's one of those things that I think it's just going to take a few more years to find that sort of that natural chemistry.
I don't know. I actually don't know that there has ever been another pair of television presenters with the same chemistry, because you've got to remember, and I knew Paul really well, as well. I raced against him. I lived around the corner from him in Belgium, went to races with him sometimes. Fantastic bloke with a photographic memory. Seriously, he remembered things back in small races that I rode with him. I said, you've got to be kidding. How can you remember that? But what I was going to get to is a lot of people have that chemistry on the screen, but then they don't even see each other. They're not friends. Those two they stayed together, they drove together, and we'd sometimes have a meal with them on the tour. And that same chemistry was there. They would finish each other's sentences. They obviously absolutely really liked each other. It was not just something made up for TV. They were genuine friends who realised that they had something special. It was just such a shame when we lost Paul. Tragically, he died in his sleep. So if you're going to go, I suppose that's the way to go. But, yeah.
I'm trying to send Whitey a message. He just sent, sorry, mate, internet was poop. And I said, no, all good. I asked if they're going to light it up at the start. So that's the obvious question. Yeah, so hopefully that comes through. We've got Top Gun says, why Ineos, AG2R and EF and the other teams just allowing breakaway guys to zoom from 14th to second place? That is not UAE's responsibilities. Theirs to keep Pogacar in yellow.
I agree. Oh, definitely. That was just a slight mistake. They thought that, they didn't really realise how much time he was going to get there. I don't reckon he will be in the top 5 in Paris. As a matter of fact, I don't think he'll be in the top 5 after today, Martin. But you're dead right. It's not the Pogs UAE team. They've got one thing to do, and they're doing it really well. And if Ineos do the tactics they did, a couple of days back, and just set that pace, it's almost like they're working for a UAE. Let them sit behind them. That's not what you got to. That's not the way to crack the Pog.
Today says if he stopped with the vinegar, doesn't like it.
Okay.
So, Sally says, so with few bike exchange riders left, is it an option for them to time trial themselves into a breakaway and get them all up the road? Just get them all in the break.
Yeah, it's not. They've got to get the right person in there. There's no doubt at the moment with the hills up. Esteban is their rider of choice, and he's the right choice. He was good yesterday. I mean, he did everything right. He just didn't have it quite at the end, but the bigger climbs of Andorra will actually suit him even more. He's very good at high altitude. This is the highest they go in this tour is today, over 2,000 metres. I think, hopefully he can get up the road again. It's hard to do it 2 days in a row, but he's a Grand Tour man. He's finished second and third in Grand Tour, so he knows how to finish it off. I think he's their best choice.
No reply from Whitey, so we'll just have to wait and see. You would think if that's the chance, they're gonna ride hard. So many people get it was 90 Ks for the break to go yesterday, and it was on from the gun. I don't think Bike Exchange will necessarily have to be the guys that light it up either.
They won't be the ones who line up for the break, but they will want the pressure on from the start. So there's two things here. It might take that long to go for the break, but it's who gets spat in that first 18 Ks and whether the pace eases enough for them to come back. There is no doubt that some of the sprinters will get dropped in that 18 Ks. And almost certainly, Cav will be one of those. But his team will drop back, and if the brakes hasn't established and they start farting about in that area after that, about 25K in, then Cav gets back. He needs to get back, have a break, and then when he gets after the sprint, he'll get spat on the next climb, and then he'll probably get through. But if he doesn't get back, he will have a lot of trouble making that time cut.
Well, it's going to be great to watch. We'll be tuning in from the start. You're going to flick between the tennis as well, Iffy, or?
Yes, not as interested in the tennis because no party for us. But I'm keen to see the Italian because, as I mentioned the other day, Frank Sedgman, one of our legends of tennis, won every Grand Slam, and I think he won 20-something Grand Slams, including doubles, is a mate of mine, and I go to a regular lunch that he's at. And a few months back, he picked this Italian. He said, watch him at Wimbledon. He will be up there at the pointy end. Virtually picked him to win. So Frank knows his stuff. So I look forward to watching this guy.
And final comment, Treadworn jersey, song suggestion, Grease is the word. I'll have to learn the chords.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, everyone. YouTube.com/The Detour Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Anything you want to add before we go, Iffy?
No, looking forward to a great stage and really looking forward to the rest day tomorrow and a good chat with Trish Liggett.
For sure. It's going to be great. Stay tuned for that. 6:30 tomorrow, Australian Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Hopefully my voice is back.
Yeah.
See ya.
This is the winning